A 57-year life journey of kindness, mentorship, and knowledge. Number 1564, the 7th of March 2026. Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation. Category: Personal Journey. Preface. This article describes a 57-year journey of my life, beginning with my early struggles as a young immigrant student in the United States in 1969 in Iowa City, Iowa. Passing through a critical turning point at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1972. And continuing to my current medical research work from 2010 through 2026. Looking back across these 6 decades, I realize that knowledge alone does not shape a person's life. Human kindness, educational opportunity, mentorship, and knowledge all play critical roles in shaping one's life journey. In my own case, the kindness and mentorship of 2 college professors played particularly important roles. Without those acts of kindness, my life would likely have taken a very different path. This paper is written not to describe my accomplishments, but to acknowledge the teachers who have changed my life and to explain why I have spent much of my later life helping other students and patients around the world. Early struggles in America. When I first arrived in the United States from Taiwan in 1969, I was a young student with big dreams but very limited education and experience. Like many international students, I had to adapt to a new language, a different educational system, and a completely unfamiliar culture and society. And fortunately, my academic journey did not begin smoothly. In fact, it was a rather long and bumpy road. I enrolled at the University of Iowa, but during my first semester I struggled academically. I received 4 C grades. As a result, the university asked me to leave, because my student visa depended on my academic standing. The U.S. Immigration Authority also required me to return to Taiwan within 30 days. At that time, I felt that my academic dream in America was coming to an abrupt end. At that critical moment, Professor James Andrews stepped in and lifted me up. He allowed me to restart my studies in the undergraduate programs of both mechanical engineering and computer science. He also served as my private tutor, patiently answering my many questions. With his help, I was able to complete 2 BS degrees and 1 MS degree in bioengineering at the University of Iowa. Without Professor Andrews, I cannot even imagine what my life would have turned out to be. During the period of 1971–1972, my life became extremely difficult. In order to survive, I worked as a full-time toilet janitor earning $1.50 per hour while taking PhD courses at night in Hoboken, New Jersey. The work was physically demanding and emotionally discouraging, but it allowed me to support myself while trying to find another opportunity to continue my higher education. Despite the hardship, I still hoped that someone, somewhere, might give me another chance. When I was 15 years old in Taiwan, I made a private decision in my mind that one day I wanted to earn my engineering PhD from either MIT or Caltech. A turning point, the journey to MIT. At the end of July 1972, I made a decision that would eventually change my life. I took a 6-hour Greyhound bus ride from Central Square Station in New York City to downtown Boston. My goal was simple: to visit MIT and ask if any professor would allow me to continue my advanced studies. I did not have an appointment. I simply walked across the MIT campus and knocked on professors' office doors, hoping that someone might still be working on campus during the summer vacation. One by one, I explained my situation, and one by one, I was rejected. After speaking with 18 professors, I was beginning to lose hope. Then, I knocked on another door. That door belonged to Professor Norman Jones. Professor Jones listened carefully to my story. He did not criticize my average GPA of 3.0, which might barely pass the admission threshold at some schools but certainly not at MIT. Instead, he commented that my GPA showed a concave upward curve, meaning that my academic performance was steadily improving over time. Rather than turning me away, he offered me a chance. He admitted me to MIT through a special admission arrangement and even volunteered to serve as my academic advisor. At that moment on July 29, 1972, when Professor Jones said he would try and asked me to return to Hoboken and wait for his response, I felt disbelief, relief, and deep gratitude all at once. I still remember standing in the MIT hallway unable to move for a few minutes. Even today, it is still difficult for me to fully describe what the moment meant to my life. Looking back now, I can even describe this life episode using mathematics and engineering terminology. My period working as a janitor in Hoboken while taking courses at night represented the Meccan stress phase before reaching the viscoplastic breakthrough that occurred when I was admitted to MIT. My experience in 1972 was a classic example of stochastic opportunity meeting deterministic persistence. I knocked on 19 doors, 18 were closed. But the 19th, Professor Norman Jones, changed the trajectory of my life. That single act of kindness completely changed the direction of my life. Looking back today, it was the turning point that opened the door to everything that followed. To teachers who changed my life during my academic life, which spanned nearly 18 years across 6 universities, I studied under close to 200 professors. I learned valuable knowledge from many of them, and each contributed something meaningful to my education and future career. However, only 2 teachers truly changed the direction of my life. The first was Professor James Andrews, who rebuilt and laid the foundation of my academic life after my academic failure at the University of Iowa. Professor Andrews helped me rebuild my academic foundation. Under his guidance, I restarted my undergraduate studies in both mechanical engineering and computer science. His encouragement and patience helped restore my confidence during one of the most discouraging periods of my life. The second was Professor Norman Jones at MIT, who expanded my intellectual horizon and opened the door to higher levels of engineering thinking. Professor Jones not only opened the door for my admission, but he also elevated my intellectual vision. Under his mentorship, I learned advanced engineering thinking and began to see deeper connections between mathematics, physics, and engineering systems. He also encouraged intellectual curiosity beyond the formal curriculum. For example, he allowed and encouraged me to attend additional advanced courses, including artificial intelligence classes taught by Professor Patrick Winston. Professor Winston's teaching greatly enriched my knowledge of artificial intelligence and later proved extremely useful in my professional career. Although I did not maintain personal contact with Professor Winston, the knowledge I gained from his lectures remained with me for decades and later influenced my work in artificial intelligence and medical research. Looking back today, Professor Andrews rebuilt my academic foundation, while Professor Jones lifted my intellectual horizon. Lessons learned from mentorship. Through these experiences, I gradually learned that education is not only about knowledge. Mentorship and kindness are equally important. Most teachers provide knowledge, which is already extremely valuable. However, occasionally a teacher does something much more powerful. They change a student's life trajectory. A single act of kindness from a teacher can influence the entire course of a student's life. The kindness shown to me by Professor Andrews and Professor Jones did more than help me continue my education, and it shaped my values and my sense of responsibility toward others. Passing kindness forward. Because of the opportunities given to me by my teachers, I have always believed that I should help others whenever possible. Over the years, I have tried to pass forward the same kindness that was once given to me. Through my charitable programs, I have helped more than 10,000 underprivileged students complete their college education. Education opens doors, and I believe that helping young people obtain an education is one of the most meaningful ways to change lives. I have also traveled to Tibet and Mongolia to support hundreds of minority children so they could complete their high school and college education. In addition, I have funded psychological counseling or psychotherapy programs to help 250 abused women and abandoned children rebuild their lives. During those 9 years, I also self-studied psychology and personality disorders by reading more than 300 books and wrote more than 200 research papers in the field of psychology. Even today, I continue to support underprivileged college students by paying them to translate my medical research papers from English into Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish, and to upload them to YouTube. This allows them to support their own room and board expenses in addition to the college tuition and fees that I sponsor. Through their assistance, my research results on diseases and health can reach and help a much broader audience, including patients around the world. These efforts are not acts of charity for recognition. They are simply my way of continuing the kindness that my teachers and mentors once showed me. Reflection on a 57-year journey. Looking back from 2026, I can clearly see the structure of my life journey. The first stage was survival. As a young immigrant student, I struggled to survive while searching for an opportunity to continue my higher education. The second stage was mentorship to Professors James Andrews, an American, and Norman Jones, a British professor, gave me the kindness, opportunity, and guidance that changed the course of my life. The third stage is life purpose and social responsibility. After achieving professional and financial success, I felt a moral responsibility to help others, continuing the kindness my teachers once showed me, although through different pathways. Many people receive help during their lives. Fewer people have the opportunity to extend that help to others on a larger scale. I have always tried to remember where my own opportunities came from. Epilogue. By now, as of March 7, 2026, most of my college teachers have already passed away, including Professor James Andrews. However, Professor Norman Jones is still alive and healthy. Over the years, Professor Jones has continued to follow me work closely. He has probably read more than 1,000 of the 1,564 research papers I have written so far. I know he is proud of my work, and it gives me great comfort to know that I did not disappoint the kindness he once showed to a struggling young student at MIT more than 50 years ago. Throughout the past decade to 1720-6, I have tried to dedicate my medical research work to helping other patients understand their health and prevent mortality disease. If my research and charitable work can help even a small number of people receive education, live longer and healthier lives, then I hope I have not wasted the kindness, time, and effort that my teachers invested in me many decades ago. My journey suggests that while data science can explain the how of health and disease, kindness and mentorship explain the why. With the guidance of my two greatest mentors, I transitioned from a poor immigrant student seeking a chance in the United States to someone who now tries to provide opportunities for thousands of students and patients around the world. More importantly, this narrative shows how one professor's decision at MIT in 1970 continues to echo through the lives of tens of thousands of underprivileged students and patients today. This illustrates how rare and powerful the influence of a single teacher's guidance can be. My other medical papers help people understand their health and diseases, but this paper helps people understand their lives, particularly the mentors in their lives. My life story actually mirrors my viscoplasticity energy BMT thinking model. Input stress, structural transformation, energy release. In my personal life, early hardship, mentorship event, a greater than lifelong impact on others. It is essentially a human version of viscoplastic transformation. I would like to dedicate this realization and insight to Professor Jones. His teaching not only enriched my knowledge, but also shaped my life. Disclaimer: write this paper not for fame, but to share what I have learned so others can understand their health, prevent disease, and live longer, healthier lives. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C.